Do you dream of being a homeowner in San Francisco, but you have a limited budget? If you're searching for the most affordable neighborhoods in the city, keep watching. I'm going to show you the top 5 most affordable neighborhoods in San Francisco where you can still get a single family home for under 1.8 million and even as low as 1.1 million. You heard that right, 1.1 million. I'm also going to show you some of the interior of these homes so you can get an idea of what you can get for your money. Let's be honest, San Francisco isn't exactly the first place that comes to mind when you think of affordability. This is the tech hub of the world. We have AI coming in, and it's a place that many people still want to call home. So when I say affordability, please keep in mind that it's all relative. But if that is what you're looking for, I've got you covered. My name is Valerie, and I've helped hundreds of people just like you find the right place to call home in San Francisco. Let's start with a quick overview. The average single family home in San Francisco is selling for a whopping $2.4 million. Now, if you saw our other video about the wealthiest neighborhoods, you'll know that prices in the city can go up to 20, 30, sometimes 40 million, but that is the extreme. The median price is somewhere around 1.825 million. I often have clients asking me, where can I find a single family home for under 1.8 million or even under 1.5 million? There are many factors that affect the price of a home, and it can feel a little overwhelming when you're trying to learn the market, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. I typically tell my clients there are 4 levers that you can pull when it comes to a property. Number 1, size and layout. Number 2, location. Number 3, finishes. And number 4, your budget and price. Today, we're mainly going to focus on location, assuming that we're working with a limited budget. Now, speaking of budget, learning the market and what things ultimately sell for can be really tricky in low price areas. These areas have some of the highest overbidding in all of San Francisco. In a minute, I'm going to show you 2 of the most affordable neighborhoods on my list. But first, I want to go over one of the biggest traps that I see buyers fall for in affordable price areas. Let me paint you a little picture. Let's say you come across a house that's listed for $995K or 1.195 million, which can be very attractive. You get excited, you share the listing with your family or significant other, you go to the open house, you kind of watch it closely, and then a few weeks later, you find out that the home sold for way over list price and you're more confused than ever. I totally get it. Listen, a lot of buyers have been there. The truth is, while low pricing strategies can be really confusing and really frustrating for buyers, they actually work. They generate a ton of interest and can lead to multiple offers, which is what sellers are looking for. Well, for the most part, when you see a home listed at $995K, it may as well be listed at $0. Those agents are essentially leaving it up to the buyer and their agents to determine the market value for a property. A lot of buyers without proper representation end up wasting a ton of time by writing losing offers when they rely simply on the list price and don't understand the market. You're going to want to avoid this by working with an agent who can help you determine the price range regardless of what it's listed for. I may know someone who can help. So when you see this happen, remember that it was likely not the case of a crazy buyer who wildly overpaid for the home. The home was originally priced well below the market value to begin with. Okay, let's start with the least expensive neighborhoods and work our way up. For buyers looking under 1.5 million, the next 2 neighborhoods are going to have the most options for you. Starting with our number 1 on the most affordable list, Ingleside. For the sake of this exercise, I'm going to actually leave out Ingleside Terraces. That community has 750 homes and they are much larger and more expensive than the rest of Ingleside. And it really feels more like a gated community. The average home there is actually 2,500 square feet in size and can sell for around 2.2 million. So when I say Ingleside, I'm mainly referring to Ingleside proper, Merced Heights, and Ocean View. Many of my clients who choose to live in those areas really value single-family homes over condos. They are likely priced out of areas that are more centrally located like Eureka Valley, Noe Valley, Glen Park, And they may even be priced out of the Sunset, which is a little later on our list. They also feel like they can get more house for their money in Ingleside. It's also really great for those who commute to work in the Peninsula or the South Bay. Basically, the entire neighborhood is surrounded by 280 or Highway 1. So when you're looking to access the freeway, it's a total breeze. And for those commuting without a car, you can also access Balboa BART station on the northeast corner of Ingleside, which is very convenient. And you can also get around the city and a little bit outside the city with the BART lines that run from San Francisco Airport or Millbrae all the way to the East Bay. You also have several Muni train lines and multiple bus lines. And when it comes to weather, this area can be a bit cold and foggy, very similar to neighboring locations like the Sunset, Sunnyside, Miraloma. It's also very residential, so it's not as walkable as the other more centrally located areas we talked about. That said, Ingleside is close to Stonestown on the west side, and there you're gonna find Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, Apple Store, a movie theater, a pet store, basically all of your necessities. Most restaurants are going to be on Ocean Avenue as well. Overall, this area has a very unpretentious and low-key vibe to it that a lot of people really enjoy. Most of the inventory here is going to be entry-level single-family homes. The median price for a single-family home in Ingleside is $1.12 million at around $907 price per square foot, and most homes are selling fairly quickly at around 14 days on the market. Again, there are not a lot of condos here. Condos make up less than 10% of the sales in the last 6 months. So let's go over a couple of examples for what type of home you can expect in this area. Okay, so let's start off with 66 Grenada Avenue. This sold for $1.17 million. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, around 1,100 square feet. It sold for around $1,064 price per square foot. Let's start with the location. This is in Ingleside proper. It's walkable to Ocean Ave, where you're gonna have a Whole Foods and a few other stores. When it comes to the street itself, it's a little bit of a hilly street, but not really. By San Francisco standards, it's not very steep whatsoever. You can still pretty easily walk, a stroller up and down this street without too much of an issue. When it comes to the property itself, looks like it's attached on one side and detached on the other. Has a nice driveway. We can probably, fit a car there. You can see that the neighbor is doing the same thing. Nice ceiling height, good crown molding, some wainscoting. This home doesn't have really an open floor plan feel. You have the living room on one side, and then you have this dining space, and then the kitchen. The kitchen is on the smaller side, even for this size of home. This is pretty small. I could use some updates throughout as well. This property has, like I said, 3 bedrooms plus this little sunroom, which you can sometimes see in homes in the Sunset or the Richmond. Some of these older builds in the 30s, 40s, 50s can have this extra bonus sunroom. The bathrooms are also a little bit on the older side. You can see they've had some updates done, like a vanity, but they haven't been fully redone probably in a really long time. Also, the garage is pretty spacious. You can fit a car, maybe 2, and it's really big for storage as well. A lot of people that have sizable yards in these homes will sometimes also build bonus rooms on the bottom levels, maybe warranted or unwarranted, but if the ceiling height makes sense and if there's some access to the home, a lot of people will build down as well. It can be a little bit on the costly side though, so it's not really an easy project to embark on, but you have the space. It has a good sized backyard. It needs some landscaping, some love, but the size is there if that is what you're looking for, and the price is great at $1.17. Okay, let's look at this other home at 430 Arch. This is more in the Merced Heights area. You can see here on the map, it's not as walkable to Ocean. There's not too many stores or things going around. There is this little community garden here that's really cute. And this street is going to be more steep than the last one that we just saw. So this is what I would consider hilly. Still, by San Francisco standards, this is pretty hilly. So you'd have to be comfortable with if you're looking to walk around the neighborhood and walk dogs, you have to be comfortable with a little bit of a hill. This property is attached on both sides. Let's pull up the top picture here. So you have attached one side and the other. Very, very common for Ingleside, but you can also park in the driveway there. It looks like they had a recent paint job of the outside of the home. pretty updated. There's, they did hardwood floors. These look fairly new. The home has been painted. Recessed lights have been added. So I would say there's not too much for you to do walking into this property. This sold for $1.335 million. It's again a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, a little shy of 1,300 square feet, and it sold for $1,038 a square foot. The kitchen is a galley kitchen, larger than the one that we saw, and it has the benefit of being open, so it makes the space look a lot larger. But a really nice thing of this home is that it has a walkout yard on all levels. So you can see that you can walk right out of your kitchen to your deck, to your backyard. A lot of homes in this price point, while they do have yards, the yards are only accessible through the garage or the side of the home. It doesn't make it as easy for daily use as with something like this. Bedroom sizes, I would say, are normal. Closets look a little bit on the smaller side, but that's really common for older homes. It looks like you have these 2 bedrooms on the top level and then the primary bedroom on the lower level with some extra bonus space. Looks like this could potentially be a built out. Like I was saying, when there's that large garage space, people can build out these bedrooms on the lower end. And if they have good ceiling height, it can feel really cohesive with the rest of the home. The backyard here is excellent. So like I said, you have a deck on the top side of the home, you have a deck on the lower level of the home, and then both levels walk out to this yard through these stairs and then right out through here, which is really fabulous. So the yard here is a winner for sure. Okay, let's move on to the next neighborhood. Moving on to number 2 on our list, Excelsior. Excelsior is located on the southernmost part of the city, and it's the second most affordable of the neighborhoods on this list. Other than affordability, my clients who choose to live here do so because of its diversity and proximity to the park. They're also okay with more of a suburban feel and not being centrally located. As I mentioned, one of the main attractions here is the proximity to John McLaren Park, which is the 3rd largest park in San Francisco behind Golden Gate Park and the Presidio. It features a golf course, 2 lakes, hiking trails, a public pool, a reservoir for dog swimming. Also, unlike a couple of other neighborhoods on the list that are primarily residential, Excelsior offers some access to restaurants and shops. Geneva Avenue and Mission Street are the 2 main commercial strips where you'll get access to Safeway, pharmacies, hardware stores, and other conveniences. And if you're looking to commute, you're pretty close to the BART stations at Glen Park and Balboa Park. There are also several Muni lines running through, and the neighborhood is near 280. Now let's talk weather. Excelsior is a bit of a mixed bag. If you live in San Francisco or have visited for a long period of time, then you're probably familiar with our microclimates. Excelsior has a good balance of sun and fog depending on the time of day and where the home is located. So not really a one-size-fits-all when it comes to this neighborhood. This neighborhood is also almost exclusively made up of single-family homes with very, very few condos. The area can also be a little block by block, so when I'm working with buyers that are seriously considering this area, I like to get in the car with them pretty early on in their search to go through the neighborhood so they can get a feel for what streets they prefer. The median price for a single family home is $1.13 million, with a median of $797 price per square foot. Homes here take a little bit longer to sell, with about 20 days on the market as an average. Okay, let's take a look at a couple of homes that sold in the area so you can get an idea of what you'll find here. Let's start off with this property here that sold at 380 Moscow. This sold for $1.23 million last month. And interestingly enough, it was listed pretty low at $998,000 and it sold for over 20% above asking at $1.23. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, a little under 1,750 square feet, and it sold for $700 price per square foot, which is a little bit on the lower side, but given that the property is larger, it kind of makes sense that it brings the overall price per square foot down. In terms of location, you are walking distance to the park, which is very nice, and it's on a flat street as well, so it's really walkable in terms of, going to the park and walking around the neighborhood. Let's look at some photos, starting with the outside. So it's attached to one side. Looks like this is part of someone's side yard there. The property, again, is pretty spacious, around 1750 square feet, and it's got some good light throughout. There's some openness between the living room and the dining room, but the kitchen is separate. Looks like they did some updates, refinished the floor, painted the interior. The bathrooms also look pretty updated and somewhat sizable. You get a bath and a shower in this one. And there's this little interior patio that you'll see a lot in some of these homes. Some people love them, some people hate them. I'm personally pretty neutral on them. This kitchen is a little bit on the smaller side. The appliances lean on the older side as well, but it gets really good light, so that really helps open up that space. And there's also a breakfast nook that's separate. There might be a way to kind of open this up and mix the spaces, but it would require some reconfiguring. Bedrooms are also pretty spacious and get really good light. I like these size bedrooms. There are 3 bedrooms on, I believe, 2 on the top level and 1 on the bottom level. The bottom level is the primary with the ensuite and this massive closet area, and the 2 bedrooms above are the guest rooms. And there is this bathroom down here that could use some updates as well. But all of that is kind of to be expected at this price point. So unlike the home we saw in Ingleside, the backyard here is accessible through the lower level primary, but not through the top level. And there's also no lawn, but you could add some astroturf. You don't have to completely gut this yard and rip out the concrete. You can just kind of lay some astroturf on top and give yourself a feel of some greenery. Plant some flowers on the side here just to give it a little spruce. Again, pretty spacious garage. You have 2 garage doors, but just 1 big garage on the inside. So it's 2 cars side by side, which is pretty great, and some additional storage as well. Moving on to another property that sold here. This is 470 Athens. This sold for a little bit more. It sold for 1.35 and it was listed at around 1.325, so not too much above. It also sat on the market for about 32 days, so above the average of 20 days for the area. This is a little bit smaller than the previous property at 1673 square feet, and it sold for $800 per square foot. This is also located near the park and on a flat street. Like most of this area can be on a flat street and it's pretty walkable. It's across the street from a school. When it comes to purchasing a home near a school, you just want to sometimes check it out during the school time when there's pickup around 3-4 p.m. just to see how congested the street gets and whether it's livable for you. Some people don't mind it, some people really mind it. I would suggest you kind of test that out for yourself. This home had some pretty good updates throughout. There's really not much for you to do. This home does have an open living room, kitchen, dining room space. It just makes everything feel a little bit more spacious in the living side front. It gets good light throughout. The kitchen is updated, so not much for you to do there. The dining space is on the smaller size. It fits a 4-top, but this is kind of pushed up against the wall, so I'm not really sure if this would fit 4 chairs if they were to pull it out. That would be something to check out. This home also has the deck that walks out of the main area, but it walks out of one of the bedrooms. The most ideal is to have outdoor space that walks out of your living room or out of your kitchen. This walks out of the bedroom, which is the second tier, but still way nicer than having to walk through your garage. Bathrooms are also updated, so nothing for you to do. Here's this lower level that was added probably after the home was built. They probably reconfigured portions of the garage or added some space. The ceiling height down here doesn't seem too bad, and there is that access to the outside, so it feels nice and bright. And here's the additional space down here. This is one of the bedrooms. That's one of the 3. Nice yard, nicely manicured and kept up. Could use some, if you want to add some turf for greenery, that would be nice, but you really don't have to. There's a deck on the top level and a patio on the bottom and some views as well, which is nice. If it would be helpful for you to have some guidance as you dive into the market here, reach out to me. All of my contact info is down below. Number 3 on our list, the Sunset. The Sunset District is one of the hottest areas in the city right now in terms of buyer activity. The Sunset is made up of 3 areas. You have Inner Sunset, Central Sunset, and Outer Sunset. All of the areas border Golden Gate Park and have great access to various types of nature. Families are really drawn to the Sunset because of the quality of life. When you have small children and you live, especially walking distance to the park where you can find tons and tons of activities, it can make your life a lot easier. At least this is coming from my friends with small children. I don't have any just yet, so it's kind of hearsay, but I do believe them. However, some of my clients prefer living near the beach and the water, and so they'll lean more toward Outer Sunset. Out of the 3 areas, Inner Sunset is for sure the most coveted because of its proximity to restaurants and shops, and because it's more centrally located, you have easier access to other neighborhoods as well. But you will see that reflected in the price point. One of the main drawbacks for people is going to be the weather. Although you can still get some sun here and there, it does get cold and foggy year round, particularly the further west you go. When it comes to eateries and shops, there are some great restaurants on Irving and 9th, which is another reason why people really prefer the Inner Sunset area. That said, walkability, although great in that area where the shops are, walkability does tend to go down the further west you go, as you don't really have access to a lot of big commercial hubs as you get closer and closer to Outer Sunset. As for transportation, Inner Sunset is in the middle of the N Muni line, which connects to both ends of the city, which makes getting around pretty convenient. And if you commute to work, Highway 1 will be your fast track to 280 or 101. The median price for a single family home is going to be $1.6 million at around $1,012 price per square foot. Homes in the area are typically selling within 2 weeks with an average days on market of 12 days. Now let's take a look at a home that's sold in the Sunset to get an idea of what you'll be able to find there. Okay, let's take a look at this property at 1224 30th Avenue. I actually represented the buyers on this property that closed, I think within the last month or so. It ultimately sold for $1.63 million. It was listed for around $1.25 million, so it sold for 30% above asking. There were multiple offers on this property as well. It was sold within 13 days of coming on the market, so my clients had to act fairly quickly to be able to jump on this property and be competitive and ultimately win. So let's start with the location. This home is located in the Parkway Terrace, which is a sub neighborhood of Central Sunset. Super walkable to the park, as you can see here. It's like literally across the street, like right here. The street is flat, obviously, really pretty. A lot of the homes are detached. My clients loved just the architecture and the feel of this street as well. Let's look at some photos, starting with the inside of the home. And now this home was 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. There was a sunroom. It was a little under 1,500 square feet, and it sold a little under 1,100 price per square foot. It had a lot of charming details throughout, like this fireplace, the hardwood flooring, some of this crown molding, and a curvature to the ceilings. Because the home was detached on both sides, it let in a lot of light through various windows. My clients really liked that. And the living room was spacious, and so was the dining room, and so that felt like they had a lot of space to work with. The kitchen is separate. It doesn't open up to the rest of the living spaces. The listing team did a good job, as you can see, at preparing the home. I think the people that had lived here for 40 years, and so it needed some sprucing. They painted, they refinished the flooring, they painted the cabinets, updated the countertops, updated the appliances. These are some of the common, cosmetic updates that you'll see to a lot of these older properties that haven't sold for a very long time. Now, my clients will probably eventually want to, update the cabinets because these are very much original, but for now they look nice as is. The 2 bedrooms on this level were also really spacious. As you can see, they could easily fit king-size beds, and this was the sunroom that you can access from both of the bedrooms. And a little peek at the backyard here. That was one of the biggest selling points for my clients, was the backyard. Now, one of the biggest drawbacks of this home, I would say, is the bathroom. It's small, it needs some updates, and it's the only bathroom on the main level for, first of all, the only bathroom in the entire home, but it's the only bathroom that's servicing 2 bedrooms, a sunroom, and the whole living space. That's a bit of a drawback, but that is reflected in the price as well. Now, the lower level, you have a massive, massive garage. You can fit 2 cars, you can fit tons of storage space. You know, for a lot of people that have this much space in the basement, the plan is to, at some point, you know, dig out and building some living space, because that is what a lot of homes in the area do. And it is very much a possibility here. It's just a little bit of a bigger project. The backyard was one of their number 1 or 2, top 3 the things they liked most in the property. It was manicured. This is something the listing team, I know that they did as part of the sale. It made a big difference for a lot of buyers in terms of how they expected the home to live. Really spacious. The only thing is that, you know, ideally you have a yard that you walk out through your main level. In this case, this yard was only accessible through the side of the home or the garage, which is not ideal, but again, reflected in the price. Okay, move on to the next neighborhood. Next up, we have Miraloma Park coming in at number 4 on this list. This also has the second highest overbidding in San Francisco at 13%. Miraloma is located south of Twin Peaks. This area has more of a suburban feel and is great for people who prioritize larger homes and a family-friendly neighborhood over sun and walkability. This area is very residential with mostly single family homes at entry-level price points. Now, in terms of shops and restaurants, there aren't a whole lot of options here. There is a small shopping center at the north end of Miraloma Park where you can find Molly Stone's, Starbucks, a dry cleaner, and a few other convenient amenities. Also, a lot of the homes here are detached, which adds to some of the suburban feel atmosphere. Also, the floor plans here are pretty straightforward as opposed to those in Bernal Heights or Glen Park that are known for their pretty funky layouts. Miraloma Park is also a great option for those who work in the peninsula or in the South Bay, as there is easy access to freeways. As I mentioned earlier, this neighborhood is not known for walkability. It has a walking score of 62. There are some hilly streets and windy streets, but generally they're pretty wide and quiet. Again, leaning toward that suburban feel. I have clients with children of a young age and strollers, and they really prefer Miraloma Park over areas like Glen Park or Bernal Heights because those areas can be really hilly and have really narrow streets and small sidewalks. So Miraloma has more of a stroller friendly feel. Another drawback to the neighborhood is the weather. Miraloma Park can be a bit cooler and windy due to the high elevation. It can also get somewhat foggy, very similar to the Sunset. You're probably seeing a pattern here between affordability and not so nice weather. Another thing you want to keep in mind is that if you're looking at Miraloma Park, you may also be considering Sunnyside. We actually did a whole video on both of these neighborhoods, so I'll link it below for you guys to check out. Before I show you what a typical home looks like here at Miraloma Park, let's take a look at some real estate stats. The median price for a single family home is $1.6 million, very similar to the Sunset, but in Miraloma you'll find that the price per square foot is a bit higher at $11.31. These homes are also selling pretty quickly within the 2-week mark with a median days on market of 15 days. Okay, let's take a look at this property at 132 Evelyn Way. This sold for $1.86 million. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1-car garage with a family room on the lower level, so it was really spacious. It was 2,200 square feet, which is probably the biggest house we've seen today so far. And it sold for $830 price per square foot, and it took around 20 days to sell. So a little bit longer than your typical home in the area, but still within reason. Let's take a look at the location. So as far as the street view goes, this home has the storybook architecture like a lot of other ones in the area. The street is flat and it's walkable in the sense that the streets is wide and the sidewalks are wide, but it's not walkable in the sense that there are shops and restaurants nearby, because there just aren't. However, you do have the Molly Stones right here, pretty walking distance to the property, as well as the playground and park down here as well. So you do have access to some things, but just not a lot of restaurants and shops. Let's take a look at the property, starting with the outside. So that storybook architecture, really large driveway, detached on both sides. I had clients that were actually considering this property. They decided not to pull the trigger because they didn't, many factors. They were early in their search, but also you walked right into the kitchen and there was no coat closet, and they had 2 children, and it's kind of hard to figure out, what do I do with backpacks and shoes and all this stuff when you're walking right into the kitchen and have no closet. So I'm sure that was factored into the price as well of where this ended up for, and maybe one of the reasons why it took a little bit longer to sell. The living room is really pretty, really good details, good ceiling height. You can't really tell in the photos, or maybe you can, but there is really good flow between the living room, the dining room, and the kitchen. The kitchen could use some updates, but really was livable as is. And because the property was detached on both sides, you got really good natural light throughout. Okay, this was the only bathroom on the top level. So you have 2 bedrooms, 1 bath on the top level, and 1 bedroom, 1 bath on the lower level. This bathroom is clearly outdated and a little bit retro, but it actually didn't show that badly. It was really well maintained and kind of cool. My clients didn't mind it. It's one of those things that you probably want to update at some point, but it wasn't gross. It was just old, but really, really well maintained. Bedrooms were really spacious, good ceiling height and scale throughout. On the lower level, you had a laundry room, and this is the 3rd bedroom. This was also an issue for my clients just because this bedroom had a little bit of a lower ceiling height and no closet, so it felt more like an office than a true 3rd bedroom that one of your kids could use. The family room on the lower level is great bonus space. A lot of people love having a secondary living space. You also had a wet bar and a second bathroom downstairs, as well as an office, which is nice for those who work from home. And pretty good size garage. It fits 1 car, some storage, but then you have this massive driveway as well. And then the patio, you could access through the lower level family room. So pretty good access to the yard. No lawn space, but you could probably reconfigure this a bit to get some lawn space if that's what you need. Okay, moving on to the next neighborhood. Okay, we've reached the end. Number 5 on our list is Midtown Terrace, located on the western slope of Twin Peaks. Midtown Terrace is the most expensive neighborhood on our most affordable neighborhood list. It's one of the most recently developed neighborhoods in the city, where you'll find lots of mid-century modern homes built in the 1950s. This neighborhood, similar to Miraloma Park, is also very residential and very family-friendly. They have a deep-rooted community with an annual block party, Easter egg hunt, biannual garage sales, and more. Given the elevation, this is another neighborhood where you're going to have some beautiful views of the ocean and the city skyline. And if you're an outdoor enthusiast, you're going to love that you are surrounded by nature. You have easy access to explore Laguna Honda Reservoir, Mount Davidson, Glen Canyon Park, Mount Sutro Forest, and not to mention the jaw-dropping views that you get at Twin Peaks. In this area, parents and kids will also love the renovated Midtown Terrace playground, clubhouse, and picnic area. Nearby schools include Rooftop Elementary and Ruth Asawa San Francisco School of Arts. If you're looking to be walking distance to shops and restaurants, this neighborhood is not for you. Being that it is mostly residential, there are no shopping centers within the boundaries of the neighborhood. Midtown Terrace has a walking score of 69, if that gives you an idea. Although if you live in this area, you're a pretty quick drive to the shopping center on Portola, where you'll find, Molly Stone's and Starbucks, and you'll share that with your Miraloma Park neighbors. You're also a quick drive to West Portal, where you'll find restaurants, cozy cafes, and some boutique shops as well. And to the east, you have Diamond Heights Shopping Center, which has the essentials like Safeway, post office, and a few more items. Portola Avenue turns into Market Street and takes you right into the heart of the city. And if you work in the South Bay, you also have easy access to 280 through O'Shaughnessy. Also, Midtown Terrace is not known for its sunny weather. In fact, it can get pretty foggy and windy there as well, also due to the elevation. It's safe to say that this is another one of those neighborhoods where people are prioritizing size and price over walkability and sun. I'm sure at this point you're putting that together and seeing a very clear pattern here. If you've watched our videos, you've probably already heard us say this before, but it's important to note that you pay 20% more for walkability and another 20% more for sun. So the price is reflected in some of the deficiencies of these areas. The median price for a single family home in Midtown Terrace, it's $1.745 million, and it's selling around $11.50 price per square foot with a median of 11 days on market. You also don't have that much inventory come up in this area. Only 8 3-bedroom homes sold in the last 6 months. So when homes come up, you have to move pretty quickly. I'm going to show you a property that I sold to my buyers at 166 Glenview Drive recently. This was a beautiful property. It sold at $1.91 million, and it was a very attractive property. It got a ton of offers, and it was really special. It was a corner lot, tons of lights, updated, beautiful yard, and it had 4 bedrooms. Let's go take a look. Okay, let's take a look at this property. Again, it's 166 Glenview Drive. I represented the buyers in this transaction a couple of months ago. This property was listed for around 1.5 million rather, and it sold for 1.91, so it went almost 30% above asking. There were 14 other offers on this property, so we beat 14 other people. And we didn't just beat them because of price. There was actually another offer that was slightly higher than ours, but we have a very strategic way in how we approach negotiation and how we submit our offers, particularly in very, very competitive situations that puts our client in a really winning position. We don't write more than 1 or 2 offers per client typically. A lot of people have a different experience where they're writing 6 to 8 offers before they can get into a property, which is pretty brutal, to be honest. But anyway, that is a video for another time. My clients were very, very happy and they were able to get this property. It was 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, around 1,500 square feet, and it sold in 8 days. So that's what I was talking about earlier. When properties pop up in this area, especially properties this special, you have to move very quickly. We were able to take a look at the property pretty much the moment it came on the market. My clients literally got off a plane and we went straight to the property, took a look at it, spent a ton of time there, and then decided to write an offer, and we got to work. Let's take a look at some photos. So it's a corner property, had really good light throughout. This property felt really special. The backyard was stunning. It had a large driveway, just really beautiful. So this is technically the 4th bedroom on the lower level. It could also be a media room, family room, office, depending on how you want to use it. It had an ensuite bathroom as well, and it walked right out to the backyard. So you had multiple tiers. You had this deck here, a deck over here, lawn space, a couple of swings, really, really pretty and well maintained. There was also some space down here for gardening or things like that, but not all that usable. This is the bathroom on the lower level. The updates throughout were pretty good. There's really nothing you needed to do to this property if you didn't want to. You could always elevate it, but it was pretty much move-in ready. This was the kitchen, you know, really bright due to just all of the light coming through from being a corner property. And it had that ideal backyard situation where you're walking right out of your kitchen into the backyard instead of having to go through the garage or only the lower level or another bedroom. So that was a really fantastic perk as well. Now, the main living spaces were a little bit on the smaller side because you're fitting a lot into a 1,500 square foot property. You're fitting 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, and all this stuff. And that's typically something that you see in a larger property that's more like 1,900 square feet or over 2,000 square feet. But the layout was so that it actually worked out really well and it didn't seem overly stuffed. So you had 3 bedrooms, 1 bath on the top level, and you had the primary, the 4th bedroom on the lower level that you could use it in any number of ways. So as you can see, if you're looking for an affordable single family home in San Francisco and you're willing to make some sacrifices when it comes to sun and walkability, you have plenty of options. For more on these affordable neighborhoods, watch these videos. They are also linked in the description. And if you need help finding the right neighborhood for you, reach out to us. We would love to help. And subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any videos.